Speaker. Speaker, tonight I rise to add my remarks to those made by my friend and colleague, the member for Fowler, and his private members' bill contribution today regarding National Police Remembrance Day. This incredibly important day of remembrance took place on the 29th of September this year. It acknowledges the significant role police make and have made and a contribution they've made to the local communities and the very high degree of risk and personal sacrifice that comes with the exercise of their duty. Mr Speaker, the National Police Remembrance Day remembers the sacrifice of police officers throughout Australasia and the South West Pacific region who were killed on duty or have died whilst serving. I'd also wish to have a moment wish to commend the work of Police Legacy, who look after the loved ones of police who have died as a result of their duties. The member for Fowler's motion also quite rightly reaffirms our support, and I'm sure I can say that with some measure of confidence, this parliament's support for the nation's 56,000 police officers, and it honours their efforts to make a difference, to defend our way of life and safeguard the peace and security of our communities. In our nation's capital this year, we are also able to mark the 10th anniversary of the building and commemoration of the National Police Memorial in Canberra. In particular, I'd talk about in Melbourne, people gathered to pay tribute to Victoria's fallen police officers as part of the National Police Remembrance Day memorial service at King's Domain, as well as throughout the state at various regional locations. This year, hundreds attended the march and service of the Victorian Police Memorial at King's Domain to remember the 159 police officers killed in Victoria while serving the force over the past 163 years. This year's service also paid tribute to Senior Constable Maurice Moore, who was killed 30 years ago whilst patrolling late at night at Maryborough. To mark the anniversary, the Blue Ribbon Foundation raised money for improved emergency facilities named in memory of fallen officers and dedicated the Urgent Care Centre at Maryborough Hospital in his memory. I wish to congratulate the Blue Ribbon Foundation on their efforts this year. I also would want to acknowledge the work of our local police officers in Holt, in the city of Casey, in Endeavour Hills, Narre Warren in particular, and the Cranbourne police stations. In Holt, our police officers are going above and beyond to keep our communities safe as issues of domestic violence, ICE, home invasions, terrorism and gang activity are stretching their resources. But there are two police officers that are worthy of mention, and I cannot name, and won't be able to name, I suspect, ever in this place, who were almost killed at the Endeavour Hills Police Station on the 23rd of September 2014 in a terrorist attack. Both officers are recovering from this incident 2 years later, but on National Police Remembrance Day, obviously my thoughts turn to their well-being and their families. I hold, Mr Speaker, both officers in the highest regard for their service to the community, for their commitment in keeping their community safe, and the sacrifice they made physically and psychologically on behalf of our community. And most importantly, Mr Speaker, I'm deeply honoured to call them friends. Let us never forget the ongoing service of our police officers around our country, especially this week, in particular and because of the anniversary, which is on the 12th of October 2016, which is the 28th anniversary of the horrific Walsh Street police shootings in Melbourne. As one of my friends, the VicPol officer involved in the Endeavour Hills incident, remarked, and I told him that I would read his words into this place about this event, the Victorian Police and the general public recognises the loss of life of two young constables, Stephen Tynham, 22, and Damien Eyre, 20, who were murdered at 4:50 a.m. on the 12th of October 1988 in Walsh Street, South Yarra, responding to an incident which was nothing short of an ambush. The current security environment, in his words, is just as volatile now as it was then nearly 28 years ago. Mr Speaker, Victoria and Australia have seen the loss of plenty of fine men and women in the protection of our country. They've made the ultimate sacrifice, and I pay my respects to them, Mr Speaker, and again reiterate to those police officers serving in my community, in the City of Casey region, I am deeply aware of the sacrifices that you're making. I am aware of your resources being stretched. I encourage you to continue to talk to me about how we can solve those issues, but on this day and on this night I thank you for the service to the community and for keeping our community safe.